על מי מנוחות ינעלני, נפשי ישובב, ינחני במקלי צדק למען שמו. עם גדלק וקיצל מוות, לא ידע רע כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דשענת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The words of the 23rd Psalm, Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for taking some time this Sunday morning to tune in to this service. My name is Rabbi Anibal Mas from Congregation Shari Zedek, and it's my great honor to officiate the funeral service for Bernice Levine Rissen of blessed memory, who was also known Jewish people by her Hebrew name. Beila bat Shaul v'Sara Chaya, Zichrona Livracha. She was the daughter of Sam and Sarah, blessed memory. The wife of the late Marvin Levine, blessed memory, and later on, the late Joe Rissen of blessed memory. The sister of Mel and Wendy, Sharon and Brian, and also of Frida and Manuel of blessed memory. The mother of Alan and Angie, Brian and Susan, Sheila and Jeff, Joel and Stephen. The grandmother of Alexander and Shannon, Mia and Jeff, Jason and April, Sean and Heather, Justin and Haley, Megan and Aaron and Brooke. The great-grandmother of Benjamin, Rachel, Piper, Josephine, Meyer, Hiren, Liliana, McCartney, Amy, Cole, and Erica. Bernice passed away on June 17th after a long illness at the age of 86. A devoted mother, generous person, active community member, but to whom family came always first. Great cook, great friend, determined, full of life. And these are a few highlights of Bernice's life shared to me by her children when we talked before Shabbat. Bernice lived a remarkable life, and we should stop for a few minutes to pay tribute to her legacy. In Parshat Noach, the Torah states as an instruction to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and all your family, for you I have seen as righteous before me in this generation." Now, Rashi, a medieval French rabbi and author of a comprehensive commentary on the Talmud and on the Hebrew Bible, comments that the Parsha begins with the words, "And Noah was a completely righteous person in this generation." However, here, when God tells Noah to enter the ark, he merely calls Noah righteous and not completely righteous. This teaches, Rashi says, that it is appropriate to only say part of a person's praise in his or her presence, saving the full description of praise for a time when the person is not present. And I'm sure many wonderful things were said to Bernice and about Bernice when she was alive. But now, as she leaves this world to enter the Olam Haba, the world to come, it's the time to take some time to fully honor her memory and to eulogize her. Eulogizing the deceased is an important ancient Jewish custom, dating all the way back to the patriarch Abraham, who eulogized his wife Sarah. So to begin this process, I would like to invite to come to the microphone first the two of Bernice's grandchildren, Alexander and Mia. Please.
Yeah, I'll take that. Before I read my own speech, my cousins Brooke and Megan sent me something they'd like me to read on behalf of them, so I'll do that first. To our loving Baba BC, we can't believe you're gone, but seeing you suffering this year, we know that you'll be in a better place. Probably bowling with Zeta Marvin or playing Maj with your friends. We are so lucky to have a Baba like you. When we lived in Winnipeg, we loved our time together, whether it was Shabbat dinner, spending time at the trailer in the summer, or sleepovers at your condo on Swindon Way. We always know that we would have the best meal, like homemade blintzes, followed by your famous homemade cookies. When we moved to Toronto, not a year went by where you didn't come and visit at least once to see us with a suitcase packed with cookies and your special brownies with the colored marshmallows. Plus, a fresh banana genie's cake, which we all know isn't easy to travel with. But you did it for us because we loved it. As we got older, we cherished our chats on the phone and couldn't wait to call you when we had exciting news, like getting into university or finding our first jobs. We knew how proud of you were of us, and we truly felt the joy from far away. Our visits back to Winnipeg were always our favorite. Lunches at Sorrento's and staying at your condo, where you and my mom sat for hours playing Candy Crush like two peas in a pod. We see so much of you and her, especially as a Baba to Emmy, and we know that you didn't get to meet her in person, but we could see how exciting you were to meet her on FaceTime, and we promised to tell her all about you when she's older. Baba, your love for us was endless, for your 4 kids, 7 grandchildren, and 10 great-grandchildren. Your legacy will live in all of us, and we continue to make you proud. We know you're watching on down at us all today smiling, and we miss you and cherish our memories together forever. We love you, Baba, Megan, and Brookie. Go back to bed. Okay, now this is from myself. The idea of remembering my Baba Bernice is a task I never wanted. I wanted to make more memories and to continue to cherish my time with her. But I suppose that's what makes moments like you'd spend with loved ones so special, so important, and so close to your heart. My Baba was extremely important to me. We had a bond that held strong up until her final days. She was so certain I was going to have a baby girl earlier than my due date, and sure enough, Erica came to meet her Baba BC even if over FaceTime. Baba was unintentionally hilarious. The way she spoke always had me entertained, and the way she told stories with such gusto was comedic. If you saw her on Facebook, her birthday was saved as January 1st, 1989, making her 32 years old. And once she was scrolling on Facebook and accidentally went live, it had us laughing for days. She absolutely adored all of her children, grandchildren, and siblings. Seeing us together brought her utter joy and filled her heart and overwhelmed her with love. I remember when she met Jeff, she told me she gained another grandchild, and that's how she felt about all of her children and grandchildren's partners. My mind has been spinning with stories the last couple of days, from being kids and going to the trailer park in Gimli, all the time spent at her condo pool, and the countless holidays and birthdays shared. If you know my Baba, you know that she was the dainty queen. She made the best cinnamon twists, brownies, and rugelach. And it pleased to know her how much we love them. One Yom Kippur, Jeff and I went to Baba's condo for break the fast dinner and to my in-laws for dessert. You can well imagine Baba's reaction to the news that we wouldn't be staying for the whole evening. By 7 o'clock, she managed to get all the treats on the table and was sawing a frozen apple pie to ensure that we had dessert with her too. Not long ago, Baba came over to teach me how to make rugelach. It's a special memory I'll have forever, and I can continue part of her legacy every Rosh Hashanah. Baba was vivacious, spirited, and had this ability to immediately be passionate about your own stories. She was kind, sweet, and always looking to be loved in return. To my Baba, whom I miss terribly, I'll love you forever, and I know you'll always be with me.
I owe most of my weight gain to my Baba. I was thinking about the last few days of the things I miss eating. Sticky chicky, soup, the cookies. And I was thinking about the day she met Shannon, my wife. I went over to her place with her. I don't know where everybody else is. Maybe they're in Toronto. And she made these Cornish game hens that I really like with stuffing. And she grilled Shannon for hours on questions. knew I found my wife. It's just a very nice memory. I love you, Bob. I'm gonna miss you. And I'm very happy that Isaiah Marvin and Bernice Levine will be resting in peace. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Bernice's son, Alan, to come to the microphone to share his eulogy.
My mother was a kind and generous person. She married my father Marvin in 1954 when she was 19. The two had met years earlier when my dad was briefly dating my mother's older sister Frida, and as a 10 or 11-year-old she would spy on them. Then following her marriage she had me 2 years later, then had two more children, Brian and Shayla, over the next 4 years. I remember bragging to my friends that my mother with 3 children was only 28 years old. My brother Joel came a few years after that. Our house was active and usually hectic. She was a devoted mother and a great cook, as you've heard, especially during the holidays. Whether it was a bar or bat mitzvah, holiday or funeral, the mixmaster always came out, and she got down to work. Later, when my siblings left Winnipeg, she never failed, as you've also heard, to bring an extra suitcase of cookies, cakes, and other goodies when she traveled to visit them. My mother was happiest when she was surrounded by her children, 7 grandchildren, and many great-grandchildren. Another benefit of having children so young, she was a grandmother in her mid-40s. Thankfully, she was able to see her 10th great-grandchild, Erica, just last week. My mother loved socializing with her large extended family, cousins, and many friends. Some of my earliest memories as a child is of our house on Rail Crescent. Actually, both of our houses on Rail Crescent. We famously moved from 14 to 15 when I was about 11 or 12. My mother enjoyed all sorts of activities and outings, first with my dad, who passed away in 1993 after 39 years of marriage, and then with Joe Rissen, who she married in 1996 and who passed away in 2013 after 17 years of marriage. So she was married for a total of 56 years. There was also bowling, the weekly B'nai B'rith Mr. and Mrs. League at Northgate or Empress. She and my dad even had their own shoes and bowling balls, and playing mahjong with her friends. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our somewhat crazy 3-week car trip journey with a tent trailer in the summer of 1970. 2 parents, 4 kids, no seat belts, in a 1960 Pontiac. First to Vancouver for a wedding from a cousin, then back through the U.S., all the way south to Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, where the temperature was in the mid-40s. Outside of the park, something broke on the car, and my dad had to leave my mom and her 4 kids on the highway while he hitched a ride into Cody, Wyoming, where we spent a really pleasant day waiting for the car to be repaired. My parents' nerves were a bit frazzled, as I recall. Most especially, my mom loved being at the family's mobile home at McKinley Trailer Park, where she spent numerous summers as part of the celebrated Loop C crowd, the mini kibbutz on Lake Winnipeg. There were also many winters spent in Palm Springs, one thing she missed very much in recent years. Her and my dad, and then her and Joe, had great adventures on the long drives from Winnipeg to California, and then back, and with no GPS. She first introduced me to Palm Springs some years ago, which I had long been grateful for because I love it as much as she did. We like to talk about places to visit and restaurants to eat at. She was active in the Rosh Hashanah Sisterhood for many years and involved in the synagogue's activities. Later, she worked in the offices of the Rosh Hashanah and Shaar Zedek synagogues for many years. Born on January 10, 1935, the same day as her elder sister Frida, 5 years earlier, my mother grew up in Holland, Manitoba, southwest of Winnipeg, where her parents, Sarah and Sam Kleiman, ran a general store. The Kleimans were the only Jewish family in the town. She and her siblings, Frida, Mel, and Sharon, worked in the store, participated in all the community's events. My grandmother brought in kosher fruit from Winnipeg, but when my mom was about 12, she was left in charge of the store while her parents were out for a short time. Hungry, she went for the unkosher bologna in the store fridge, her parents none the wiser when they returned. On the high holidays, the family would journey to Brandon, Portage la Prairie, or Winnipeg for prayer services. Passover also entailed extended visits with relatives from other towns for large Seder gatherings. Summers and other holidays were the same. She remembered her house in Holland, often being filled with aunts, uncles, cousins, sleeping anywhere there was room. She had many fond memories of skating, curling, and going to hockey and baseball games with her friends. The worst time of the year for Jewish youngsters like my mom was Christmas because they weren't really allowed to truly celebrate. One Christmas, a teacher at the Holland Public School decided that my mom, of all people, should play the Virgin Mary in the class's holiday pageant. She was ecstatic, but her mother, Sarah, my grandmother, was not. No matter how much my mom cried and pleaded, Sarah refused to give her consent. Another little girl, as my Baba later told me the story, got the part instead. The past 5 years or so were very difficult for my mother with a myriad of health problems. She was very strong and learned how to use a prosthetic after she lost a leg. She was very courageous and kept on living on her own at the Portsmouth. Late in 2019, she took a turn for the worse and eventually relocated to the Simpkin Center. My entire family would like to thank everyone at the Simpkin on Weinberg 3 for taking such good care of her, especially over the last year. One more sentence. Although we couldn't see her all the time, we were never concerned that she was not being well taken care of. We'll miss her a lot and cherish her memories of her. May she rest in peace.
Thank you so much, Mia, Alexander, and Alan, for honoring the memory of Bernice with such beautiful words. And if I have to say something that caught my attention, not just now during the eulogies, but when we had our meeting, was that, yes, there was a description of everything that Bernice did, but it was one common denominator. And it was that she was always doing something for somebody else. And this is something is extremely important in life. Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, says that God, being this amazing source of light, needed a recipient to receive that light. So God created the world so God could give to the world. So we became the recipients of God's light. But the rabbis at the same time said that our obligation as Jews is to imitate God as much as we can. And it's interesting that the first thing, the most important thing that we can do to emulate God is to give to others the same way that Bernice gave to others during her life. Following that spirit, if you would like to honor Bernice's memory, you may do so by making a donation to the Simpkin Center. Again, a beautiful way to honor her memory by giving to a worthy cause like the Simpkin Center that does so much for so many people. I would like to continue now with the El Maler Rahamim prayer. El Maler Rahamim Shochem Bameroimim Hametze Menucha Nechona Tachat Kafei Hashechina V'mahalot Kedoshim Kedoshim Uteorim Kezoyer Arakim Amazirim Edeni Shema Edeni Shema Beila Bat Shaul Vesarachaya Shealecha Leolama Bavur Shalom Mitpalelim Viadat Skarat Nishemata Began Eitein Began Edentein Menuchata Lachem Balarachamim Ya Astir Eya Vesederkena Bableolamim Utzeror Bitzrarachayim Achaim et Nishemata Adonai Unachalata Vetanuach Veshalom Al Mishkava Venomar Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Bernice Levine Rissen, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. Let us all say, Amen. Please join me now in the recitation of the words of comfort, the words of the mourner's Kaddish. Itgadal ve'itgadash shemei Rabbah, ve'almad divedach hirutei ve'yamlich malchutei, bechayechon uvyomechon uvchayei dechol beit Israel, ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru Amen. Yehe shemer Rabbah mevarach le'alam ule'olmei olmayab. Itvarach ve'ishtavach ve'itpa'ar ve'itromam ve'itnaseh ve'ithadar ve'it'ale ve'ithalal shemei dekudesha brihu le'ela min kol birchata ve'shirata tush ve'chata ve'nechemata namiram be'alma v'imeru Amen. Yehesh lama rava min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Israel v'imeru Amen. Ose shalom imramav v'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel v'imeru Amen. Amakom yenachem etchem betov shara ve'letzion b'Yerushalayim. May God bless you and comfort you. Let us all say Amen. So we have one more thing to do here. That is to participate on the burial. What we do is we come, we take a shovel, we put some dirt on top of the coffin. And the rabbis say that the act of putting dirt on the coffin is the highest level of chesed, which translates as kindness. In fact, the rabbis say that that act is called chesed shel emet, or true kindness. It's not a coincidence that the funeral home is called chesed shel emes, because that's what they do all the time. And why is this act called chesed shel emes? Because usually when we do something for somebody else, there is always a retribution. Sometimes it might be a thank you, but there is always something. But when you do something for somebody who passed away, who cannot repay you in any way or form, that is the highest level of kindness you can do in this world. So I would like to invite immediate family first to come forward, and then everybody else will have an opportunity to participate. And thank you everyone for coming out, and thank you all of you for tuning in to honor the memory of Bernice.